On the board are the angle sum and difference formulas for the sine. In the previous video, we worked a number of examples using the angle sum formula. Let's spend a little time with the angle difference formula. Notice the similarity between these two formulas here. The sine of u minus v looks a lot like the sine of u plus v, except we now have subtraction in the middle, right? We now have sine cosine minus cosine sine. Okay. So let's work the same problem that we did in the previous video, but now let's use the angle difference formula, right? So the sine of 15 degrees, I can write it as the difference of two familiar angles, sine of 45 minus 30. And now I'll just use the formula. This is the sine of 45 cosine 30 minus cosine 45 times the sine of 30. Sine 45, 1 over root 2, cosine 30, root 3 over 2, minus 1 over root 2 times 1/2 there at the end for the sine of 30. Okay. Multiply our fractions. And we get a common denominator here, so let's just write it as root 3 minus 1 over 2 root 2. And this is exactly the result that we got in the previous video when we evaluated the sine of 15 degrees using the angle sum. Okay. Alright, so now that we've seen an example, let's look at a rather quick proof of the difference formula given that the addition formula is true. Right? So this will be really quick. And actually, in the last video when we worked the sine of 15 degrees, we saw an insight as to how to do this. The sine of u minus v is just the sine of u plus negative v. Right? And so this is sine of u cosine negative v plus cosine u sine of negative v. And parentheses wasn't really necessary there. Right? So sine u cosine negative v plus cosine u sine of negative v. Cosine is an even function, so cosine of negative v is the same as cosine v. Sine is an odd function, so this is just cosine of u times negative sine v. And if I bring this negative sign out front, then I get minus cosine u sine v, and we have exactly our difference formula above.